So hi everyone and welcome back to the next video. This one is dedicated for all of you who want to know a little bit more what is possible and who are not yet satisfied with the simple scenario that we have considered so far. So let's take a closer look. What do we need? So first of all, for the bill of material, we need of course a computer with probably some external monitors. We need a set of cameras, a microphone, some gimmicks. This is something that we will talk about in the next lecture. And in the end, maybe we need to consider the topic of redundancy. But let's take a look on the setup that we probably could use. So first of all, everything starts of course with the computer. So my suggestion here is to really use a powerful computer with a good graphics chip, which is able to drive plenty of monitors to serve all your needs for a good remote training. So in my particular setup, I'm actually using a Surface Studio, which I appreciate very much for its capability to tilt the monitor. So you have a great place to draw digital images. So this is something what I like very much because I'm used to draw a lot in the flip chart in on-site trainings. And so I'm also using the drawing capability a lot during remote trainings. Sometimes I'm also working on a Surface Book, which basically has the same power and it also delivers the possibility to draw. But the drawback with the Surface Book is that in the Surface Book, the screen is much smaller. So this is basically the computer. The next thing that we consider is the setup with the external monitors. So my personal preference is to use two external monitors. Actually, I'm running, I think they are 32s or something like that. But let's face it, in that case, size does matter. So you need plenty of space for arranging all of your windows of all the things that you want to show, that you want to work with. And so, yeah, monitors are always a good investment. The next thing is the question of the camera. So what I'm using right now is I have a setup with two cameras. One is just in front of me, and it is not only in the picture like this, in reality the camera is also straight in front of me. So this helps me to keep eye contact with the audience. But it's, I have to admit, having the camera just in front of the monitor is sometimes a little bit disturbing. And it's, yeah, you need to get used to it. So it's kind of okay, but I have a few new ideas that I would like to try, and I will talk about the camera position later in the next video. Then one camera is good, but two cameras are better. So for that reason, I'm running a second camera as well, which is mounted on a tripod. And I'm using this camera as a document camera, which I will discuss also in the next video. Yeah, and that's basically the thing with the visuals. Then let's talk about the sound. So probably you recognize I don't have a headset because sitting all day long with the headset, well, you know, you're running low on battery. After a whole day with the headset, it starts hurting. And in many headsets, the microphone is not that well. So maybe you have experienced it once in a web call when people are there with a bad microphone and you hear all the briefing the whole time and they don't mute. And basically, this is a source of distraction. So my suggestion is here to make use of a studio microphone. Mine is mounted right in front of me like that. So if I put my hand here, then probably, yeah, the AI doesn't work anymore. So you can you can guess that there is a microphone. Yeah, and basically that's the main setup. So now let's take a little bit a closer look how to arrange our programs here in this setup. So basically we have the same programs as we had before in the basic scenario. And so the most important thing here is for me the OBS projector window, which I'm typically running straight in front of me on this one monitor. So that's the one thing that I'm watching the whole time. So I'm just looking straight to the monitor, to the camera, and here I see everything that is happening. That's the OBS projector in full screen. The second thing here is the Teams or the Zoom call or whatever call software you're using. So I have this one on a big screen, which helps me to see the participants. So if I ask a question, or sometimes I just take a look like this, and I already see all the people at the same time, and this helps me to get some idea if they are tired, if they are listening, if they understand, or whatever. Yeah, then we have the OBS control, which is also right next to me. And on the other side, sorry, I make this like that. It has to be accurate. That's important for me. And then on the other side, we have, or in particular, I have here, I have the slide overview in PowerPoint. As mentioned earlier, I like to have it just next to me so I can change the agenda, can hide slides on the fly, and nobody recognizes. Then I have my cheat sheet. Basically, I always have my OneNote open where I have the timing and the agenda and the key messages that I want to say and stuff like that. So this helps me to keep on track. And next to it, we have some other stuff, which is basically, as we've seen before, organized with the fancy zones. So here I have, I don't know, source code windows. Maybe I have an exercise window open, something that I just want to grab quickly and present to the audience. Yeah, and then maybe you recognized something is missing, the presentation, the old story. So where do we put the PowerPoint presentation, which typically is running in full screen? So you get it, we are missing a monitor. So in fact, what I do have here is I have an additional monitor, which is used to run the presentation. I will talk about this monitor in a few seconds a little bit more about different options, because this monitor here is something interesting because basically we don't need it. Yeah, because why? This monitor runs the PowerPoint presentation, and this PowerPoint presentation, typically when we are running it, it's also projected right here in the OBS projector. So I don't need to watch this monitor. It just needs to be there because PowerPoint needs it, but I don't need to see it. This gives us some options which I will discuss in a few seconds. But before we discuss this, let's come to the last part, which is my backup computer. So depending on your personal situation or scenario of training, when you are in the obligation to really deliver the training, then you also have to think about what happens if. And so for that purpose, I'm having a second computer next to me, which most of the time is a Surface Book. And the Surface Book basically has the same configuration as my main computer has. So if something goes wrong, I just can use the Surface Book and take the plug from the docking station and plug it to the Surface Book, and I can keep going. And this takes about 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and the training can move on if something with the computer is wrong. Maybe an unplanned update or whatever. So this is the backup scenario for the computer. When we talk about redundancy and what if situations, then I also suggest to consider the most vulnerable part, which in fact is the internet connection. So for that reason, I have, in addition to my normal modem, which already is redundant with I think it's a coax connection and a 5G connection that is combined. So in addition to that, I have a smartphone with me, which has a 5G connection and enough data volume. So if the internet breaks down or the modem, I don't know, dies, then I can use the smartphone as a hotspot and the training can go on as well. Yeah, so this is basically my preferred advanced scenario. And as mentioned earlier, there is no wrong or right. Everybody will have his own preferences, but this is just something I wanted to share with you. So maybe you get some inspiration or some idea. And if you have another idea, we all would be happy if you leave a comment so everybody can participate. Okay? Good. And now let's consider this one monitor again, the projector monitor, because this is something yeah, that's kind of important. And let's take a look what we can do with it. So basically in this projector monitor, or for this projector monitor, we have three options. So the first option is the obvious one. We attach an additional monitor. And as this monitor doesn't need to be big, because we don't need to see it and we already have so many things on our table, my suggestion is to buy a very small one from a CCTV solution. So I tried one with, I think it was 10 inches or something like that. And together with an USB to HDMI connector, this was a solution which worked pretty well. It was just one more monitor, but it's very small, it's standing somewhere, and it's a solution to give PowerPoint its extra monitor. And that's one solution. Another solution that we can consider is the solution with a fake monitor. So what you can do is you can buy in the internet some fake monitor dongles. They are around $5 to $10, so very cheap. And you plug them to your computer. And then your computer thinks that there is a monitor, even though there is no one. None. So what you can do then is you can start your presentation on the fake monitor, so you don't see it, but you still can use the picture from this fake monitor and integrate it into an OBS scene. So this is also a solution which works out pretty well in general. My personal solution that I prefer most, however, is the one with projecting to another computer. So maybe you have any computer standing around, or in my case, I'm using my backup computer as an external monitor. And this is a pretty straightforward and easy scenario, because the main idea is that your normal computer projects the picture to the external computer, and the external computer is treated as as just another display. So let me show you how this one works. So basically what you can do is you open your systems control panel, and on the computer where you want to project that, so that computer that you want to use as external monitor, you go to the system settings, which are right here, the system settings, and then you can select projecting to this PC. And here you just have to turn it on, and then it can be found and used as a projector. So this is what you do with the computer that you want to use as display. On the computer where you're working, you also go to the systems pane, and here you scroll down in the display settings just to the bottom, and here you can say connect to a wireless display. And then on the left side you see any computer around which is able to be used as a projector, and then you hit connect. In my case, I'm already connected because my presentation is running on this computer. And after the display is connected, then it will appear here in your configuration just as a normal display. In my case, it's display number 4. So that's very easy, very straightforward, and it gives you an additional monitor without paying for anything. Yeah, and if you take a look at this configuration, then maybe 2 words on that. So one thing, sometimes it's good if you have, for example, if you want to show websites or documents where the font probably is pretty small, then it's good to reduce the resolution of the monitor that you want to present. So in my case, I have reduced the resolution of my main screen just in front of me to, I think it's 1920 to 1080. He could do much more, but this is a good resolution for recording the videos. That's the one thing. And the second thing is that my external projector window, so I don't put it on the side, what you normally would do. Rather, I prefer to stack it on the top. That's also possible. So this makes it more easier to access everything with the mouse, because you want to access the PowerPoint presentation, to click to the next slide, to use the laser pointer or whatever. Yeah, so basically that's my favorite setting for working in remote scenarios, at least when it comes to the infrastructure here. And I hope this was some inspiration for you. As mentioned earlier, there's no right or wrong. There are just some options and everybody will find his individual configuration, I'm sure. And this is just the idea to show you some options and to share some ideas, which I think that are useful. So that's it for this video. And in the next video, I will try to share some additional ideas, some tips and tricks, like for how to use a presenter in a remote scenario, what's about the camera position and the microphone. Yeah, and I would say see you there in a few minutes and have fun with experimenting.